actually in the screen?
Yep, you're right in the bullseye middle. And it's recording. Don't worry.
Come on.
But you're not smiling.
Oh, I'm not ready to shoot yet. Hi everyone, FG is back again, and it is Saturday morning again. Actually 1 week after the shackle and put the jack inside the spring project. This is actually going to be a two-part project. This is a little one and a bigger one. So the little one here is what you're looking at right now. Remember, these shackle extenders used to be blue. Well, I didn't like blue because it doesn't really match with the color theme of the accents that I've been adding to the truck, which are red. So I went and got some tractor and implement paint at Lowe's and laid on some color. So that is the small project. The big project, as soon as I get the wheel off, I will show you. I actually have to put spacer blocks for the airbags now because the suspension is down so far that the bags are being stretched a bit further really than they should be. So I'm going to go ahead and install longer bolts and some spacer blocks. And I think I'd mentioned in the other video that these are pieces that I had laying around. So I'm really hoping that they fit okay. They're not really designed for this purpose. So this is one of those things where, you know, adapt and overcome. So we'll see how that goes. Catch you in a few minutes. Alright everyone, we are back. This turned out to be quite an adventure. Here is the piece that I was hoping to use. These, I believe, are actually, I think, axle spacers for an axle lift, if I recall correctly. There was no way they were even near fitting in well and what I would look to think was safe. So I ended up building a set, and I'm gonna have to see how this works out. I may end up doing these over again. You know, that seems to be the way with projects like this. You start on something and you think you have an idea and you try it, and sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. So anyway, so these are the original whatever you'd like to call them, the crossbars, the shackles. Here, this is the part that came with the airbag kit, as well as this, the bracket, and of course there's the bag itself, right, which actually I don't even really think I ever showed in the other video clearly. So obviously this is with the wheel off the truck, and yeah, I installed these bags a couple years back, so that was before I even started the channel. So I never actually got to show that, but so here's what I've come up with. These are some heavy spacers. These are 3/8/16 carriage bolts, which are exactly the same size as the originals, which was nice so that the top wouldn't spin and you wouldn't have to try to get a wrench in there. All you had to do was tighten the bottoms. See if I can get a view around the edge here. Show you, yeah, so the brake line is in a great place. As you can see, it comes right below the bolts, so they have to be cut to length very carefully so that they're not too long and not too short. So yeah, that can be a little bit of a task too. So yeah, this did turn out to be a bit of a project. Certainly not what I was expecting, but anyway, here we are, and I'm going to go ahead and throw a dash of black paint on here to keep these from corroding. I mean, it's all galvanized or hot dip hardware here, but I'm going to paint them anyway, just for an extra layer of protection. And we'll see how this works out. Like I said, I may end up having to rework these. You know, if I had a full machine shop and a CNC kit and an edge mill and all those fun things that cost thousands of dollars, and I would probably end up getting used 3 times. But trust me, I'd love to have all those. You know, I probably would have just fabbed up a complete set of solid spacers here and been done with it. But it Unfortunately, that is one thing that I'm very much lacking in my toolkit, is any heavy steel fabrication machinery of any type. You know, I've basically got hand drills, a little drill press that sits on a table, etc., etc. You know, I don't have any of the real big stuff that professional shops do, so unfortunately sometimes I have to make do, and we'll see how this goes. I may end up having to take this apart and rebuild it. It is what it is. They don't always go the way you're thinking, but here it is. It's one way I was thinking anyway. We'll see if how I was thinking turns out well. So stay tuned, and we may have a part 2 later, perhaps. So anyway, it's a big world out there, and it's just waiting for you. Go out and get her dirty. Until next time. Hi there, everyone. We're back again. So this project was supposedly finished, but I don't know if you ever worked on something and when you got done, you just had the gut feel and it just wouldn't go away, that what you'd done probably wasn't the best and you really should go back and revisit it. Well, that's exactly how this project went. So if you remember, well, in your time, actually a few seconds ago, I suppose, but for me it's a couple days. If you take a look at what's going on now and you go back and look at the earlier video, you can see that I changed the spacers radically. Why I did that? Well, there were 2 washers here on each one, and then I had this heavy-duty half-inch nut on top. And as I was looking at it, I could see that the washers were already starting to bow from the tension in the bolts. Now these aren't tightened down yet, so you can see that they're a little bit off kilter. When I get everything wrapped up and tightened down, then yeah, they should be square. But anyway, regardless of that, yeah, and it just knew, like I said, just had that gut feel. You just know that something is not going to go well and endure miles and miles and years in its current configuration. And I knew it was going to be trouble. So I dropped back and punted, ordered from Amazon a box of 100 2-inch diameter steel washers. They're nothing fancy, they're just plain steel. I'm going to paint these when I'm done reassembling everything, but just wanted to show you what I ended up doing. So yeah, as you can see, this washer stack is 11 washers thick. Now, would have been best to just replace this whole thing with a giant metal puck? Yeah, sure, absolutely. If I knew where to get one of those, well, actually 8 of those in a timely fashion, that's probably exactly what I would do, and it would probably look a little nicer too. But anyway, this is going to be a much more rigid and solid overall answer. Final project, final product. You can see here the thickness of the stack. There is no way that these are going to start to bend the way the other ones were, because that was only 2 washers thick. And I think those washers are probably actually thinner than the ones I used here too. Plus these are a slightly larger diameter, so they're actually overlapping on both sides of the metal, which I feel a lot better about. That I don't have to worry about these shifting and possibly falling into this hole here, because if it did that, obviously there would be no more tension at this point. This bolt would start bouncing around like crazy, and there'd be a whole bunch of misbehaving and noise coming from the rear of the truck here. So that was the real reason to go ahead and rebuild all this. So like I said, sometimes projects end up through 2 or 3 iterations. They don't always go as expected. The other project with the airbags actually was a perfect example of that. If you caught those, where I put snubber tanks up in the bed of the truck to increase the overall air volume and make them ride smoother, which I think overall turned out to be worthwhile, but was complicated. I ended up taking them apart a couple of times too because of leaks in the piping. So yeah, I mean, when you've messed around with motor vehicles long enough, everything does not always go the way you're hoping the first shot out. It's just, unfortunately, the fact of the matter. It's how it rolls. It stinks, but that's how it goes. So anyway, that's going to wrap that for today. I'm going to put everything back together and go ahead and paint these. So until next time, FG out, and like I always like to say, there's still a big world out there. Finally, it looks like pretty much everything is relaxing and mostly getting back to normal. So get your truck out there and get it muddy, because if it isn't dirty, you're not using it right. Until next time.